그만 나오시더니 현상 제가 영어로 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we witness a very rapid integration taking place among East Asian economies. Even without any institutional support such as FTAs in the region or any monetary and financial cooperative mechanism. However, since the Asian financial crisis, there have been various bilateral or plurilateral FTAs being formed on the trade side. On the finance and the monetary side, we know that there is very serious initiative taken among so-called Asian ASEAN Pacific countries, that is Chiang Mai initiative. And today, we just sent over the breakfast table. There is a very serious discussion regarding the introduction of Asian currency unit over Asian currency itself. And this morning we are very fortunate to have our special guest speaker who can share his enlightening views on these matters with us. Since Professor Sakakibara has been with us a number of times before, I don't think I need to spend a long time to introduce him. But you know very well that he is known as Mr. Yen. He is teaching at the Waseda University and also is heading a research institute on Indian economy. But before that, he taught at the Keio University. But before he started teaching, he had a very successful career in the Japanese government, particularly in the Ministry of Finance. That was the time he earned his nickname, Mr. Yen, to represent Japan in the international financial policy-making circle. And he's very well respected not only in Japan, but also all over the world, particularly in the financial community. Without further ado, I just want to invite Mr. Sakakibara to talk about East Asian economic integration and Asian currency union. Please join me in welcoming.
Thank you very much for the introduction today. It's nice to be back in Seoul. Well, today I'd like to talk about Asian economic integration and currency cooperation. As you know, Asian economic integration is proceeding very rapidly, driven by markets, driven by private cooperation. This is quite in contrast to European integration. European integration is driven by policy, by institution building, and it has come to the stage of having created a common currency. In terms of institution building, Asian countries are lagging far behind the European countries. But that does not imply that Asian integration, economic integration, is not proceeding. It is proceeding, driven by private corporations. If you take statistics such as intra-regional trade, inter-regional trade among East Asian countries has now become 55% of the total. This is compared to 40% in 1990. So that is within the matter of last 15 years, intra-regional trade among East Asian countries. By East Asian countries, I'm now referring to ASEAN Plus 3, have increased by 15%. And this trend is now accelerating. So that if this trend continues, we would expect the international trade among East Asian countries to increase about 60% within the next 4 to 5 years. And the European Union's international trade at this moment is 65%. And this 65% has been very stable for the last 15 to 20 years. So that probably within the matter of the next 10 years or so, interregional trade among East Asian countries would reach at the level of the European Union, which is a virtual integration of trade and direct investment relationship among our countries. So when people compare, Asian integration with European integration, people tend to have a perception that we are lagging behind quite significantly, behind Europe. But that is not true. Asian integration has already exceeded the level of NAFTA quite significantly, and now approaching the level of European Union. And people talk about diversity within Asia, differences with the development status, diversity in terms of the religion, races, values, and so on. But you have to look at the Asian integration from a different context from the European integration. With regard to the developmental stage, Asian integration is essentially a vertical integration as compared to horizontal integration among European countries. Of course, with the entry of Central and East European countries, now the European Union is entering the stage of vertical integration to some extent. However, it started as the horizontal integration among the countries with similar developmental stage. However, Asian integration with China, with some of the ASEAN countries, have vastly different stages of the development. But because of that, the vertical integration has gone fairly well. Well, both in Korea and in Japan, maybe about 5-10 years ago, there was a fear of China. There was a talk of falling out of the economy. There was a talk of the loss of jobs in Korea and in Japan because of the competition from China. But it hasn't happened. What has happened in this area is what you could call a win-win type situation. Both Korea and Japan benefited enormously by integrating our economy with China. And the same thing could be said about China. What has happened in this area is that we have created production network throughout the East Asian countries. This is sometimes called supply chain network. The East Asia as a whole has become a giant factory. And what is called the production process division of labor have taken place within this region. That is, Korean companies or the Japanese companies produce parts and components, say in Bangkok, Thailand, and then export those parts and components to China and assemble those parts and components in China and then export that to the United States and Europe. I often, jokingly remark to my American friends when they talk about the necessity to appreciate the renminbi, and when they complain about the huge Chinese surpluses with regard to the United States, I tell them, well, maybe 30-40% of those Chinese products are made in Japan. Some of those parts and components of high-tech Chinese products are actually made in Japan. So it's not only the Chinese surplus. It is a surplus of East Asian countries vis-a-vis the United States. And that really tells a story about these Asian countries. As a matter of fact, if you look at the trade in East Asia, trade in parts and components has expanded enormously within this region. And when we talk about trade of parts and components within the in the world as a whole. This region of characteristics is the eminence of the trade in parts and components. There is huge factory has been built in this region. And in some way, Korean companies, Japanese companies has become multi-regional companies, spanning all over those countries. And this sort of network of production is now expanding. Dr. Yosako has introduced me as heading the Indian Institute for Economic Studies in Japan. And what is noticeable with regard to India is Indian-Chinese trade has been expanding very rapidly. Now India is the biggest importer from China. And the Indian export to China is second to the Indian export to the United States. So not only East Asia, South Asia is now becoming a part of this Asian division of labor or Asian production network. A country like India is coming into the manufacturing. So this is a very conspicuous phenomenon. ASEAN plus 3 sort of integration is proceeding, and this is expanding toward India and Southeast Asia. And belatedly, institutional building has started. And this is the topic I would like to touch on today, particularly in monetary and financial areas. But before touching on that, let me sort of mention the other very conspicuous phenomenon in this integration of East Asian economies. That is the emergence of new middle class in this region. Of course, in countries like Japan and Korea, where the middle class has emerged much earlier than other countries. But the emergence of the middle class in countries like China, in some of the ASEAN countries, is actually transforming this region quite significantly. That is to say that since the life pattern or value of those middle class are quite similar, new sensitivity of being Asian is now emerging among the new middle class in East Asia. You know, middle class in Korea, middle class in Japan, middle class in Thailand, middle class in China have pretty much a similar type of life patterns. They drive the cars, they eat the fast food, they go and shop the plant, sort of European plant items. They buy fairly luxurious apartments. And those similarity of life patterns of the middle class is now creating what could be called the awareness of being a new Asian. And this sort of awareness of being a new Asian, or creation of what could be called a common value among East Asian countries, is quite explicit, despite the rise of nationalism here in Korea and in Japan and elsewhere. So these are the two sides of the same coin. As the new sort of middle class emerges, politicians tend to use the nationalism as an vehicle to increase their popularity. But at the same time, among those emerging middle classes, common sort of values have been developed. Look at the Japanese movie and companies. It's full of Korean dramas and Korean movies. And you turn on the Japanese television, almost every hour you hit a Korean drama. It's very fashionable. As you know, it is called the Korean boom in Japan. And this is not ending. This is just a start. And something could be said about the Japanese animations, Japanese pop music, in the East Asian region. So that those middle class are now starting to share the same sort of value judgment, same taste. And this is a very sound development, I think, in this region. Eventually, political nationalism could be overcome by this common value among those new emerging middle class. And what is very important from the point of view of the business is a huge market is now emerging in the East Asian region, or Asian region in general. It is said that the new middle class in China is between 200 and 250 million, which is twice the size of the Japanese population. Okay, and if you combine the new middle class in ASEAN countries, which is probably combined together, 200 million, and combine that with Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and Singapore, we have a huge cluster of middle classes in East Asian region already. And in addition to that, it is said that in India, about 150 million middle class now is emerging, between 150 and 200 million middle class. If you combine those middle classes in Asia together, this is more than the middle class in Europe and United States combined. That is to say, not only in manufacturing, not only in production, but in terms of the final goods, in terms of the markets, consumer markets, Asia has already become the biggest market in the world. And as you know, growth rate of this region is much faster than the growth of rates of the countries in the rest of the world. So that this biggest market, biggest consumer market in the world is growing at a very rapid rate. So that within 10 years and 20 years, Asian region, both in production and consumption, would become the major engine of the world economy. It is already the major engine of the world economy, but it would become a much bigger engine within 5 to 10 years. When I was in the Ministry of Finance negotiating with the United States, their persistent sort of demand on Japan is consumer and consumer and consumer. And Larry Summers, my counterpart, used to say that the United States cannot continue to be spender of last resort forever. But that situation now has changed. Domestic demand, domestic regional demand in Asia has been expanded. And the United States is no more the only spender of the world economy. True, it is spending too much. It is accumulating too many trade deficits. But now, China, East Asia, is much bigger consumer market, much bigger final demand destination as compared to the United States. And I think this is very important to recognize for our Asians. And I also refer to the history. This is not the emergence of new Asian economies like China and India. This is the re-emergence of the Asian countries into the world history. I often quote the numbers compiled by Ernest Madison, who is a very well-known economic historian. According to his statistics, as late as 1820, that is early 19th century, at that time, United Kingdom has sort of colonized substantial part of Asia already. But even as late as 1820, with regard to the share of the GDP in the world, Chinese share was 29%. Indian share was 16%. China and India together in 1820 has had 45% of the world GDP. At that time, United Kingdom, emerging imperialist country, only had 5% of the world GDP. By 1820, substantial portion of India was already colonized. But even at that time, India was the second largest economy in the world. China, of course, was the first, the biggest economy in the world. But what we are experiencing at this moment is the re-emergence of those sleeping giants. Asia had been the center of the world economy, maybe between the 7th century, 8th century, up until 19th century. It was only the last 150 years that Western countries has dominated, has colonized the Asian economies. And it is now changing. And I can say, throughout the last 5 to 10 years, that the 21st century is the century of Asian countries. And Asian countries are now integrated. And one thing which could be said about Asian integration is that this is an open integration. This is not a closed region. In this production network in East Asia, both American and European countries are actively participating. And this region is open to all the countries in the world. This is probably somewhat different from the European integration. Again, there's a historical legacy on this. Up until, say, 19th century, Asia, China and India in particular, were at the center of the world trading mechanism. Even when you look back, 16th and 17th century, Columbus, where did he sail to? He targeted India. He wanted to come to India, right? Vasco da Gama of Portugal. He wanted to come to India. All those Europeans wanted to come to India because India was at that time the center of the world trade. So those benefits of the world trade were monopolized by Arab merchants, Italian merchants, Indian merchants, and Chinese merchants. So Spaniards, Portuguese wanted to get a share of those benefits of the trade. That's why they wanted to come to India in the late 15th century and early 16th century. So historically, Asia has an open trading area, and it is now becoming again the open trading area. And let me make one small comment on this. This is the age of globalization. Why regional integration? Why localization? Why regionalization? This, on the surface, seems to be a paradox. Because in terms of IT, in terms of, finance, in terms of information, work has become global. It has become almost costless to transfer information, to transfer technology, or transfer money. In terms of the finance and information, it is truly global. What is costly in this global world is the movements of physical goods and movements of human beings. It's so easy to come to Seoul from Tokyo. It's only 2 hours. It's like a domestic flight. It's so time-consuming and too very travel to go to New York. Takes 14 hours with the time difference. So in this, global age, actually distance counts. Because the transfer of technology, transfer of information, transfer of money has become costless, has become global. Relative cost of movements of physical goods, relative cost of movements of human beings has become much higher. So in this kind of global world, actually distance counts. It is much better to trade with the neighbors rather than to trade with the other continents. This may sound paradoxical, but this is economic sort of reality. So this kind of regional integration is only natural outgrowth of the past developments of the world economy during the course of the last 5-10 years. Because of the globalization. Because of the globalization of banking and information and technology. Regionalization in manufacturing. In face-to-face service industries. Regionalization is taking place. So it is highly sensible to sort of trade with your neighbors, with countries which are close in terms of the distance. Well, with that, let me sort of move on to my main theme of trade. That is, as those trade and direct investments are being integrated in region, some kind of institutional building, belatedly, has taken place. At the time of the registration crisis, Donald Trump, he is now chief executive of Hong Kong. At that time, Donald Trump was the financial secretary of Hong Kong. Has talked about the dual mismatch. Dual mismatch being currency mismatch and maturity mismatch, having been the cause, one of the major causes of this Asian crisis. There is huge amount of Asian savings are first channeled into US dollars and dollar-denominated assets. That is still taking place in this region. Most of the Japanese assets, Korean assets, both private and public, are still being channeled into US dollars. But US dollars were channeled back to this region in US dollars in short term. And that short-term US sort of lending were converted to local currencies in the long term. So there was a currency mismatch and maturity mismatch. And when those money all of a sudden have been withdrawn with some kind of treatment, Asian crisis has taken place. So that from that time on, concern of the authorities in this region, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, China, and elsewhere, has been to a significant degree addressed to this currency mismatch. How could we solve this currency mismatch? Two policies have been followed. One is what has been called the Chiang Mai Agreement, the use of foreign reserves to prepare for the time of crisis. This Chiang Mai Agreement is a bilateral swap agreement for the foreign reserves of the countries concerned. Right now, Korean government, Japanese government, Chinese government, along with ASEAN countries, are negotiating to multilateralize this bilateral swap agreement. I think this negotiation will probably succeed within a matter of short period of time. And beyond that, this multilateralization of Chiang Mai Agreement is the earmarking of foreign reserves. I've been proposing to set aside maybe 5% of the foreign reserves of the East Asian countries. Total foreign reserves of East Asian countries has now exceeded $3 trillion. This is enormous amount. Enormous amount. China has accumulated a huge amount of foreign reserves, now exceeding that of Japan. You know, Chinese foreign reserves, Korean foreign reserves, and Japanese foreign reserves added together exceed $2 trillion. So that we should be able to make good use of those foreign reserves. And if we could set aside 50%, even 5% of those foreign reserves, it's enormous. We could utilize those foreign reserves to nurture securities market within this region, or to prepare for that, at the time of the crisis, some kind of joint actions among those countries, or looking, 10 years, 5 years, 10 years ago, we could even conduct joint foreign currency intervention, by the use of those foreign reserves. This is a very sort of significant institutional building. There may be some difficulties, political difficulties, because we need to coordinate our policies or monetary policies to some extent, even if it is setting aside 5% of foreign reserves. But I think this is a feasible proposition for the countries. If we are to do 100% of the foreign reserves, this is politically enormously difficult. If we've got to coordinate monetary policy completely. This will be done 30 years, 40 years from now, but it cannot be done within a matter of 5 to 6 years. But something like setting aside 5% of the foreign reserves, I think could be done even now, with the resolve of those experts, the countries concerned, or with the resolve of the politicians, within this region. Along with this, cooperation in foreign forex policies, some major development have been taking place in the creation of Asian bond markets. This is called the Asian Bond Market Initiative. And China, Korea, Japan, along with the ASEAN countries. This is the finance ministers meeting of ASEAN Plus, has been making strenuous efforts to create a regional bond market. That is bond market which is denominated in local currencies. There were some bond issues denominated in yen. Those are called samurai bonds or shogun bonds and things, alike. But other than yen, there has not been major flotation of bonds. International flotation of the bonds in local currencies. ASEAN Plus 3 finance ministers meeting, which was held in May 2005, has formally created 4 working groups to expedite the process for the creation of local bond markets. And there have been some major developments. Asian Development Bank has been helping, and some of the Export-Import Bank, various countries have been sort of supporting from the sidelines. And there has been the international flotation of bonds denominated in local currencies, Thai bahts, renminbi, Philippine pesos, and so on. At this moment, they need some kind of semi-official assistance. But I think this efforts would create a situation where this dual mismatch, which was one of the major causes of the Asian crisis, could be resolved. Let me give you some example of the developments. In year 1999, that is at the start of the crisis, the share of regional bond market was only 16.5% of the GDP. But as of year 2005, regional bond market, that is international bond market denominated in local currencies, that exclude yen, that include Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Korea, and People's Republic of China. That 16.5% has expanded to 48% of the GDP in year 2005. Compared to the larger markets, like the U.S. markets, which is about 150% of the GDP. This 48% is still very small. But this sort of expansion of the local bond market by 3 times within the matter of the last 8 years is quite a phenomenal development. If we could expand this local bond markets to maybe 100% of GDP within a matter of 5 years, this is a major development. For as a matter of fact, East Asian region is a major source of savings of the world, right? Why should we channel those savings entirely to New York or London, and then let the financiers in New York and London, or American investment banks, or European investment banks, mediate those money? Why can we not do that locally in this region, developing local bond markets? This is the basic idea of the country's concern. And some measures are now being taken and is succeeding to a significant degree. Finance ministry officials are consulting on this issue quite frequently and holding negotiations how to expand this effort into the future. I'm hopeful that these efforts will bear fruits in developing local bond markets, local sort of security market to channel Asian savings, within this region, at least to a significant degree. The other development which you may have noticed is the start of the studies of Asian Currency Unit. It was initially sort of promoted by Asian Development Bank. Mr. Kroda, who is the president of Asian Development Bank, is a very strong promoter of Asian Currency Union. He was my successor as a Vice Minister of Finance of International Affairs in the Ministry of Finance. And we are very close friends. But this Asian Currency Unit initiative has moved from Asian Development Bank to ASEAN Plus 3, the finance ministers meeting. Asian Development Bank is a very difficult international organization. It has various countries, including the United States, so that in order to promote those relatively regional initiatives, ADB may not be the final forum to do it. So that this Asian Currency Unit study has been shifted to the finance ministries of ASEAN Plus 3. Well, this is a long-term proposition. When you talk about the currency union, it will probably take another 30-40 years. Sure, Asian economy is now being integrated in terms of trade and direct investment. But institutional building is lacking. In order to create a common currency or a euro, you need to unify monetary policy. Here, institutional differences among the countries matter. China, for example, do not have mature financial system yet. it will probably take another 10 years before they liberalize capital account and before they come up with solid and sound financial system domestically. So that creation of the common currency will take fairly long period of time. I myself think that probably it will take 30 years or so. I wouldn't see it. Maybe I'll see that my deathbed or something. But first step has been taken by starting the study on the Asian currency unit. And I have just talked about the successful attempts to create Asian bond market within the region. The next step in terms of the currency unification is to issue local bonds denominated in Asian currency unit. That is the first thing which has happened with Europe, with regard to European currency units. So you have some sort of unit. This is sort of currency sort of basket for calculations. So you float, the bonds, sovereign bonds, Chinese sovereign bond, Korean sovereign bond, or Thai sovereign bonds, or ADB is sort of bond denominated in AFRI. And then sort of transferred to some local currencies. I think that step is possible. I think that is possible within the matter of next 2 to 3 years. If we could agree on some kind of, unit, that could be a tentative unit. Weights in sort of the ACU could be valuable. But with some kind of weights, we could sort of issue the bond denominated in the currency unit. And that, I think, is the first step. And I think finance ministries or authorities concerned, central banks, are now targeting at this first step in the use of ACU. This is a long-term proposition. We should not be hasty. Because economic integration, both in trade and direct investment, is proceeding. As I said, new middle class is emerging. New awareness of being new Asian is now emerging. So that the currency unification comes at the final stage. But as intra-regional trade increases, it is very important that intra-regional currency values stabilize. Of course, Korean economy is doing very well at this moment. But Korean won may have appreciated a little bit too much against yen. So the stabilization of Korean won vis-à-vis Japanese yen, I think, is very important. Stabilization of Korean won vis-à-vis Chinese renminbi is very important. Stabilization of Japanese yen vis-à-vis renminbi is very important. We talk about, our foreign exchange rate in terms of dollars at this moment, because that's the only market we have. We don't have won yen markets yet. We only have $1 market. We only have yen dollar market. But eventually, it is only natural that regional foreign currency markets develop. Euro market has developed. Euro-yen market has now become fairly big markets in Tokyo, along with yen dollar market. So that as Chinese economy eventually liberalize their capital currency, as Hong Kong moves following the Chinese renminbi, it is only natural for the regional currency markets to develop. Why should we use US dollars to settle Korean and Japanese account? why can't we use some Asian currency units? Why can't we use some local currencies? Of course, this takes time. US dollar is the key currency, and will continue to be the key currency for decades. There's no question about it. Euro is emerging as the second key currency, and there has been some shift from US dollars to euro. But this is a slow process. And particularly when we talk about Asian currencies, this is a very slow and gradual process. But this is going to happen because intra-regional trade is expanding very rapidly. As I said at the outset, intra-regional trade in East Asia would reach 65%, which is the level of the European Union at this moment. Then it is only natural for those countries to develop local currency markets and to eventually settle the accounts within this region with the local currencies. Major shift or a black shift in currency markets would cause major confusions. Even now, if Japanese authorities, Korean authorities all of a sudden decide to hold 50% of foreign reserves in euro, that would be a disaster in the foreign currency. Those moves have to be done very gradually, very carefully. However, this is a trend. As I said, 21st century is a century of Asian economies. So that for the Asian currency markets to develop, and Asian currencies to be used in transactions, to be used in settlement, is a long-term trend. So we have to nurture that. And as I said, Asian bond market is now being created and rapidly developing. So all those movements have to be coordinated effectively with the movements in trade, investments, and other areas. And as I said, this region has to be an open region. Open regionalism is a key word. We should maintain good relationship with the United States. We should maintain very close relationship with Europe. And participation by American and European companies in this region is extremely important. But at the same time, as I said, localization is taking place. Even those American and European companies which are active in this region are localizing their operations. They are multinational companies. And as far as their East Asian operations are concerned, they are East Asian companies. So that, this globalization and localization is not mutually exclusive. And Korea and Japan is a very close neighbor, has been a very close neighbor for the last 2,000 years. And Korean-Japanese relationship is extremely important. And as I said, at least at the level of the middle class, at the level of the mass, relationship has been improved quite dramatically. And I've been saying that, in Japan and elsewhere, it's a matter of time that the politicians in both countries would catch up with the people of their two countries. They have to. Otherwise they will eventually fail. Promoting nationalism to some extent benefits some of the political objectives of some politicians. But nationalism is not the key word. It is the key common values of the new middle class, the emerging middle class in this region, which is the key. And this is developing a very close relationship, culturally and economically, has been developing within this region. Politics have to catch up. And I'm quite hoping Mr. Abe will catch up at least to some degree compared to the current administration in Japan. Well, thank you very much. And I will